Today I'm going to be converting my year 2000 Discovery 2 TD5 to spring suspension. This is a job that can be done with pretty basic tools, but one thing that you will need, a pair of spring compressors and a tap. Apart from that, pretty simple stuff. Just going to start by getting the wheels off. So because I'm doing suspension, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to jack up the frame of the vehicle, because if I jack up the suspension then I'm just compressing my workspace. That'll do. So bleeding the air is pretty easy. I've got a flathead screwdriver and a 10mm spanner. This is where your compressor is, so undo these two little, whatever you want to call them. It just pops off like that. Chuck that down there. This is your compressor in here, and these are the two lines you want to do, the two outside ones. So these both go to your corresponding airbags. So what I'm going to do is just very carefully vent it, so it should start hissing soon. So the car should sink onto the axle stands now. A bit more. And as you can see, there's barely any weight on here, like I'm lifting it with my finger, so, and it's just enough to get the wheel off the ground there so that there's a slight gap, and I can take the wheel off and then lower it down. Same on the other side. Stick it under here. Do not want to be working with that. I believe that's a black widow spider. You don't want to get bit by one of them. It's the female one, I think. Lower that down. So now we have plenty of room to work. Taking off the airbags is a very simple and straightforward process. They're only held in by these two little clips up at the top, which are the type that just slide off. In fact, these are so loose. Sorry, I put the camera there. I can probably take that off. Yeah, I can, just with my fingers. So that was very easy. Don't know where that went. I'll get that in a bit. But if you want, just get a flathead screwdriver, coax them off with a screwdriver, like that. There we go. It stayed on the screwdriver. Yeah. Once you've got them two out, don't worry about the connection on the top for now. Just give it a bit of a wiggle and gently press it down, and because it's got no air in it, you do get a little bit of leeway, just enough to pop this off. So again, 10mm spanner. What I'm going to do to make this a little bit easier, there's a little lug at the bottom here. You can, wow, look how freely that rotates. So that's the spring when it's in its locked position, when these pins line up with the holes. Now if you rotate it 90 degrees so that this hole is pointing down the axle 90 degrees, it should lift straight off. And you can see why. That's the hole that it fits in, and that's the little fitment on the bottom. So I'm just going to take this off, and I don't really care what happens to it because it's going in the bin, but I should be able to get a spanner on it a bit easier now. There we go. There we go. And that's it. Sometimes you do get leaks in them, but these ones are fine. If I cover up that hole at the top there, then I can't press it down until I... It's a bit dirtier, that one. Before we go any further, I'm just going to confirm that the cushion, there we go, that the spring cushion actually fits into where it's gonna go. And it does. Bit of a clean, so I'm just gonna spray it up. Might as well clean everything while I'm in here. And just give it a little go over with a wire brush. And I'll wipe down with a rag. Just want as little bits of dirt and, you know, getting in there as possible. It'll just make the job a bit easier. So here's my M10 by 1.5 tap, and that actually fits in there lovely. So it looks like it's too small, but it's not. So I don't know if the camera is going to pick this up. Let's try and get it really close. It's got this little shoulder there. So when you drop the tap in, it naturally sits really square, which is brilliant for me because I don't have the proper handle to do this. This tap was about $6. The handle for it was about $50 or something close to $50, and I'm not paying for that. I might regret this. Again, this is the cheap way of doing it. It's the thickest oil that I have around. So not the recommended way of doing it, but it's got to be better than having no oil. So let's just give it a little bit of a lubrication. Forward a bit, back a bit. I think I'm all the way through. Well, hopefully you can see that. So now I have a thread, so I'm just going to check that with the bolt and see if it works. Moment of truth. Like a rotor shape, that three-sided, you know, rounded triangle, and it gets cylindrical to the end. Now for the second one. So that's both of them done, and I guess, logically speaking, the next thing to do would be to put this on. Stick them in there. So I get the feeling this isn't going to fit, and then I'm going to have to use a spring compressor. Absolutely. Almost in, so not too far to go. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Come on, maybe I can get that in. And we're in. We're in. Get that on before I forget. One round the front of the axle and one diagonally opposite around the back. That just works. Put that on. I'm gonna put a jack under the axle. I reckon if I raise the axle up, I should be able to just compress the spring, and the spring compressors should come loose without me having to wind them off. So let's just raise this up quickly. If I can wind them off from the side now that they're a bit looser. Okay, great, that's one. Wow, that was difficult. Rotate it round, and now I should be able to wind off the spring compressor. Nice and easy. And the lesson of today is don't put a spring compressor up on the tie bit. There we go. Hey! Alright, round the other side now. And Again, let's clean this up again. So I'm just gonna soak it. Yep. That went in nice and easy. And that's the job done. So it's pretty straightforward. There's no surprises, there's no weird things. All you need is basic tools, an M10 tap, some spring compressors. In fact, you don't even need spring compressors. Take your caliper off, drop the radius on there, disconnect the shock, and you'll be able to do this without spring compressors. But I don't want to be taking off bushes and stuff like that. It's just asking for trouble if I do more things than I need to do to get the job done. I'd rather do it with spring compressors. Right, so I'm just going for a quick test drive just to see how these springs are compared to the air suspension. That's a bit of a gradient, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this is great. This feels brilliant off-road. So it's still recording. Whee! Well, alright, well, my opinion anyway is that the springs are just as good as the air suspension, so